Today I'll be talking about the power of propaganda and how it is used in different situations. First off, we need to know the definition of propaganda. Propaganda is information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. There are certain tools that come into effect when we talk about propaganda. These tools are what the propagandists look for in their audience and how they can make their situation sound more believable, whatever, to gain opinion without them looking into stuff. So to start, the first tool is stimulation. On historians.org, titled "What Are the Tools of Propaganda?" it states that propagandists try to stimulate others to accept without challenge or act as one wants them to. You want the public to lead without looking into logical backgrounds of the topics. An example of this is Hitler saying that the Jews sold out the Germans in World War I, which led people to act upon with Nazis protagonists. Or propagandists, I'm sorry. Another method is used to act on one's insinuation, where propagandists will use sounds to make something sound good or bad. This is used to sell sound to listeners. So, for example, people will use like orchestrated sounds or like nice flowy music to make something sound good, or they could use sad or like harsh, rough noises to make something look bad. This is a common tool and is used in many different advertisements to sell products. The last method is the audience's desire. What do people want, or what are they against? Strong terms such as un-American, radical, injustice, these type of words, they arouse the audience. They're strong words, they have a strength behind them, and so they are words that are used to gather people just based off the tone and strength of it all. Now, there are different ways to define propaganda, and it's in the work of our everyday lives. It could be a catchy jingle, a motivational poster, or an advertisement, and this just silently influences people without them even realizing it sometimes. Propaganda is often categorized into three different camps: white propaganda, black propaganda, and gray propaganda. Now, white propaganda is entirely truthful. Black propaganda is filled with lies, deceit, and disinformation. Gray propaganda is a murky line in between the two, as a half-truth and half-lie come into play. This was stated from the Public Relations and Propaganda framing the Iraq War. Now, the propaganda's goal is to convince the consumer that the propagandist and the organization they work for is good and the enemy is bad. And they use this thoroughly to exaggerate ideas of persecution, much in the case of like Nazi Germany, where they would just convince people that these people were laundering money, the Jews were laundering money, it went behind the Germans' back in World War I. This made people act upon this. Just by the way, Hitler was rallied the people together and all this stuff for World War II. Propaganda is highly respected and feared because it can influence the opinion of someone with great efficiency, and it can be manipulated by anyone. However, this does not stop many organizations from using it. There's the difference context is used in mainly the difference of the context is used mainly for religion, war, and government. In propaganda and psychological warfare, propaganda was not used formally until the Roman Catholic Church, dating back to 1622, where Pope Gregory began distributing and creating propaganda in support of the Catholic Church after the Counter-Reformation. This was one of the first documented instances where persuasion was used to promote one person's self-interest. The Catholic Church had to fight the power of the bandwagon effect on the people who were leaving the church for new exciting religions. This concept was unknown, and we can identify that the church did its best to fight by reframing their message to the people. So the bandwagon effect is defined mainly by something that is doing good or doing well or exciting new thing that people hop on board. or go along with the trend or whatsoever. So like an example can be like people that like LeBron James. LeBron started in Cleveland and went to Miami. So now that LeBron's in Miami, they want to be Miami fans. Or now that LeBron is now in LA, they want to be Laker fans. And so it's kind of just people following what they want or the trend or what is going well for nowadays. Propaganda as a weapon stated from the beginning of World War I, both sides conflict used propaganda to shape international opinion. During this time, newspapers, books, and cartoons produced an attempt to influence both neutral and enemy countries. The result of this, that propaganda has become in modern war not only a formidable weapon against the enemy, but it is a necessary tool in promoting a national war effort. It can carry popular opinions to make the necessary sacrifice and contribute in muscle, mind, and money to the successful prosecution of the war. In democratic countries under governments chosen by and responsible to the people, the entire population, in and out of the uniform must be informed in the progress of the war. Propaganda in wartime must seek to demoralize the enemy. The primary objective of the propaganda aimed at the enemy nations is to break down their will to fight. It's set to lower the enemy's will to resist, and it does this in several ways. One is to picture the military success on a propaganda side. Another is to picture in the armed might and economic power of the enemy that they have to face. And another is to picture the more superiority of the cause against which the enemy is fighting for. So this could be like Revolutionary War, Civil War, stuff like that. There was a strong side behind it and a reason behind the war that people would use to gather people to fight for them. Now, this is a strategic plan to intimidate enemy leaders and separate them from other people to break down resistance by producing evidence that is a mass of the enemy people have been deceived and misled. Propaganda at its worst during wartime is used as an instrument for maintaining unity and goodwill among allies banded together in a common effort. It sometimes is effective at bringing the opinion into neutral states over to one side to another. And in the battle zone, it serves to keep up the morale of the men and what they're doing during the actual fighting job. So it's not only used against the enemy, but it can be used for your allies as well. So you can, for what you're fighting for, certain stuff like that, the reason you're fighting, and it's used to band them together, keep them together if they're fighting for the same reason. When propaganda is served in government, whether people like it or not, it plays a hand, good or bad, in these situations. In political elections, critics of propaganda claim that protagonists just burn through money to expose people in the information they already know, just to reiterate to make it easily remembered. Researchers have proven that simply by exposing people to something, often whether it is a positive or negative experience, they are more likely to remember it in the future and that it comes from. Propaganda as psychological warfare stated this. So this could be used like in elections, like Trump taking shots at Hillary or Hillary taking shots at Trump, and it goes back and forth. And usually that's kind of what sets the tone for elections, is who has more skeletons in the closet type deal. Researchers, I'm sorry. In studies, this is called signaling theory, which states a government can release amounts of propaganda that is largely ineffective, even though the citizens themselves may not believe it, but still make them loyal to the government. The ability of the government to find a large amount of propaganda shows that they are powerful and have money, which can cause the citizens to follow it out of fear of their own safety. In other words, they believe that their government is strong, and the fact alone maintains political order. The citizens do not trust their government, but they fear it, and this is shown in many governments across the world, such as North Korea, China, even in the times during Germany during World War II and I. This was strong. persuasion to the people that they are powerful, they are under a powerful government or tyranny, whatsoever it may be. In conclusion, this project has brought me to realize the true nature is in propaganda. Realize the true nature in propaganda. I discovered that corporations, media, and public broadcasting, even governments and religions, use various ways to manipulate their audiences into taking action. Propaganda, whether used in promoting a positive or negative manner, alters people's original thoughts and ideas, persuading them into believing in something that may or may not be true. This shows how powerful a statement can be on the human mind and what it can do to allow people to take action in the case where it might be right or wrong. And that's all I got.